What the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, before we move on here, I'm curious, did you hear any Valerie Plante's answer to that question from Caroline on the poster being taken down at City Hall?
Yeah.
Well, what'd you make of that?
Well, I mean, honestly, just tell the truth. It's like we happen to live. And I almost said society there, Aaron, but we live in a context where, to a certain extent, there's a kind of a media establishment that decides that people feel a certain way. I think the vast majority of people, francophones, anglophones, allophones, really could care less about what was on that picture, so long as it wasn't insulting, so long as it wasn't. But the fact is, but this is how things happen here in Quebec, and it's not because we're in Quebec. I think it's got more to do, with this very kind of a tendacious world we live in now. Everyone's got to have a side. Everyone's got to, say, everything is wrong because of this, And listen, it's very difficult, I think, to balance when you have a government in Quebec that's blaming everything on immigrants in general, and perhaps Muslim immigrants in particular. It's not smart politics to have a picture of a woman wearing a hijab on your front door at City Hall. So, on the one hand, is it acceptable that they took it down? No. Is it understandable? Absolutely, in the context that we're living in, Aaron.
Okay. Let me move on and talk about healthcare costs that you have highlighted today. So what are we going to talk about? What's up?
What's up? Well, remember how we always used to say it cost $1 billion a week to run healthcare?
We did?
Now it costs $1.1 billion a week. In fact, our everyone's favorite health minister, Christian Dubé, gave a speech today. He basically said we can't go on. It's $60 billion a year. And that's apparently a 50% increase over the past 6 years. It went up 50%. I don't know what in the hell we're spending money on, but it went up by 50%. So there we go, $60 billion. And so what are they going to do? Well, they decided, and I think I should sue the government, Aaron, because I remember I used to come on this show and say, my policy with the Quebec health system is don't get sick. Just try. You want to make the Quebec health program work. Don't get sick. Don't go to the hospital, and you'll be fine. But they're turning around saying that's good. In this spring, it's all going to be about prevention. They realize that tobacco consumption is filling the hospitals, that alcohol consumption, even though they have no problem collecting taxes on these, right? It's bad for you. So they're going to try and get you to stop smoking and stop drinking and take better care of yourself. They're going to focus on young people as well on their diet. Because why? Because the health minister, and I'm sorry, I don't think this story is getting anywhere near the attention it deserves, has basically said, no, we're almost out of money and the system is not working. So you know what? Don't get sick. As Jim Mennie told you many times on Montreal Now, don't get sick. Yeah. This is government policy. Scares the bejesus out of me. I don't know about you, but quite frankly, on top of everything else, I'm getting screwed $1.1 billion a week for this. This is preposterous.
This whole idea, when we first started talking about Santé Quebec, and this was going to be the big idea, of course, that the health minister was going to pass on, Christian Dubé was making it seem like this would fix everything. I remember we talked about that at the time, and we both kind of looked at it, at each other and said, yeah, that's not going to change anything.
I know. It's just another bunch of deaths, another bunch of forms, that you'll have a fresh set of voices and a fresh set of names telling you, oh, no, we can't do that. That doesn't work. Oh, that's beyond, no. Oh, by the way, did we mention healthcare in Quebec is not going to go up to $1.2 billion a week? This is where we are, and there seems to be no way out of it. Where is this money going? I have no idea. Do we have that many? Well, apparently we're having staff shortages. Usually payroll is your biggest ticket item on your budget. But we're missing everything. We're missing doctors and nurses and the whole schmear there, Aaron, and yet somehow we're spending $60 billion, even in Quebec, that's a lot of money, Aaron, $60 billion a year on healthcare. I totally don't understand. These numbers make no sense to me whatsoever. And I think someone somewhere is blowing a whole bunch of smoke.
I wonder if this lends any credibility to the argument when we talked about medical assistance in dying, right? The new rules now where you can go ahead in advance and schedule your MAID appointment, if you will. And some people suggesting, this is the government's way. And I don't know, maybe 1 + 1 does equal 2 here. the government's way of saying, you know what, if there's fewer people to take care of in the healthcare system, this is a great way to do it. I'm not suggesting that, but people have brought that up.
Quite apart from the fact there's a rather macabre streak in you, Aaron, that I didn't realize.
I didn't bring it up. I'm just saying, Jim, I've heard it brought up.
But on top of everything else, okay, what you just said, I don't think the government's got the smarts to even think about something like that. So we'll have to leave it there. But holy moly, Aaron, I mean, we're chuckling about this. This should be scaring the crap out of everybody. This is nuts.
Yeah.
This is absolutely crazy. And Christian Dubé, for no matter what else you want to say about this, Christian Dubé is one of the few guys who actually knows what he's doing. And he's turning around and saying, sorry, it doesn't work. It's costing us an arm and a leg, perhaps literally, and it doesn't work.
Is he the guy who knows what he's doing, or the guy who thought he knew what he was doing, Jim, when you look at numbers like this?
Oh, that's the guy who's still getting out of government. By the end of this term, it's not even going to be funny.
Yeah. All right, let me move on. Talk about the other story. Your headline says, Anglos, Allos, immigrants. What happens when the CAQ runs out of scapegoats?
Well, this is great because Yuri Chassin, who is the CAQ defector, he left the party saying that it hadn't stuck to its guns on anything that it ran on. Yeah. It was just this empty shell. It was the Francois Legault show. He was asked yesterday about the whole idea with the DPG and the caseloads and this and that. And how, and I want to clarify something that I said yesterday. I said that Jean-François Roberge had said that immigrants were increasing the caseloads over at the DPG. In fact, it was Lionel Carmont, the minister responsible for the DPG, and of course, everyone's favorite premier, Francois Legault. Which is not to say that M. Roberge may not have said that today. But meanwhile, M. Chassin turned around when he heard this, and on top of everything else, Carmont goes, well, no, I don't really have any figures to back it up. But, we hear things, okay? Chassin goes, listen, in 2018, when we first got elected, everything was the Liberals' fault. Then everything was the pandemic's fault. Now everything is the immigrants' fault. He says, we got to stop going for scapegoats here. This is no way to run a government. This is no way to govern Quebec. And in fact, he's a zillion % right. Here's the problem. This is exactly how they are governing Quebec. And the fact is, sooner or later, most Quebecers, I'm not talking about that 25 to 30% core of how can I put this delicately, less than broad-minded supporters of Francois Legault out in the regions. I'm not including them in the equation, but Quebecers are just turning around saying, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You're not doing anything. You're costing me an arm and a leg on everything, okay? You're leaving this place infinitely worse than how you found it. The big question now is, who's going to take over? Who's going to be the replacement? Because it's clearly not going to be the CAQ. And I still maintain, I don't think Francois Legault is going to last till the end of the term. But all that said, Aaron, you really have to wonder who's next. Who will have the finger pointed at them next? They haven't come after Anglos recently in terms of, apart from institutionalized elements of Anglos being present in Quebec and the fact that, as far as Monsieur Roberge is concerned, we're speaking too much English in downtown Montreal. Maybe that'll be the new look for the Legault government. But nothing, absolutely nothing's working. And I would tell you right now, because this is all kind of coalescing, even as I speak to you, Aaron, this is probably the first time in my life where I've ever talked about a provincial government, or indeed a government at any level, where everything is going wrong at the same time. There is not a single, on the other hand, you can say A, B, and C is working well. There isn't a single damn thing that's working well for this government. The problem is this government's still in charge for 2 years, and they're in charge of where we live.
I will point out, Jim, to your question as to whether Anglos will be the next scapegoats here. There's a story today. It's in the Gazette, right? It says, I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name. We've had him. Benoit Dubreuil, right? Who is...
good Lord.
Yeah. Wait, so French decline at work and in culture is, quote, particularly worrying, according to him. He said, we see sectors in the labor market where French has sometimes lost 10 points, sometimes 15 points in recent years. So there's your next potential scapegoat.
Yeah, there's that. And also he repeated, remember that Liberal MP who got shown off this parliament or this legislative committee in Ottawa?
Yeah.
Because he said two guys who came up and two language guys from Quebec came up and said, if you go to an English language cégep, it'll affect you. You'll speak English for the rest of your life. And he turned around and told them in French that they were full of poo. although he actually said, he didn't say full of poo. He said the real word. And he got thrown off of there. Well, Monsieur Dubray is repeating that assertion in his latest findings. So clearly he's going to help someone open the door to extending Bill 101 to CEGEPs, which is interesting because right now, even people like, maybe his attitude has changed, but I remember even that nice prophet Saint-Pierre Plamondon wasn't really crazy about the idea.
Look, I want to leave it. We're going to have to leave it at that. We're going to run out of time. I just want to get your real take. This is the weekend we turn the clocks back, and I'll ask it again when we get done here. Keep it, turn it back. Do you care one way or the other?
I care. It is ridiculous. Stop it. Keep it where it is. Keep it on what's referred to as daylight saving, and do it. You don't have to worry about anybody else. Worry about the people in your jurisdiction. People will love you for this, and that might be the only thing the CAC will do right in its entire history. But by God, do it yesterday. I know it's supposed to change tomorrow, but stop this nonsense. It is really not worth the bother.
James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, have a great weekend.
You too, buddy.